Welcome to Cardboard Box. Today we're going to be looking at Bii. Yes, I'm just as surprised as you are to be talking about yet another Bumblebee toy so soon after the last review. I guess you could say I caught yellow fever. Generally, I think we've had more than an abundance of Bumblebee toys over the past 16 years. Some of them have even been good. You see, Bumblebee is an evergreen character. He's cute, aspirational, and kid-friendly. He's certainly easier on the wallet than larger Optimus Prime toys. The Transformer brand pushes him hard in media, merchandise, and on the toy aisle. There's a good argument to be made that he's the lead face of the franchise. He's had his own movie, he was the lead in an animated show, and he even has his own toy line. However, despite his forced popularity, Hasbro doesn't want you to buy this toy. That's because this is not an official Transformers product. This is Bii, Toyworld's version of a Masterpiece Bumblebee. Sort of. This toy came out in 2014. Back then, Masterpiece Transformers were all about having highly detailed and accurate real-world vehicle modes. Bii took a different approach. He looked like he just rolled out of the cartoon. He was a cute, squat version of a VW Bug with simplified proportions and minimal details. With his bright yellow coloring and pure blue windows, he looked like the animation became reality. Here's how his car mode looks compared to some other G1 style Bumblebees that I have. Here he is next to the Micro Action Figure, New Age Flipper, G1 Bumblebee, Netflix Bumblebee, and Masterpiece Bumblebee. The deluxe size Netflix one and the Masterpiece one have nearly identical car modes. That's because they are fully licensed and approved by Volkswagen. Takara Tomy and Hasbro didn't decide what Bumblebee's car mode would look like, Volkswagen did. After all, and for a long time, it appeared that the Transformers brand couldn't make Bumblebee a beetle without VW's blessing. When Toyworld made Bii, they didn't ask anyone for permission or approval. The Masterpiece toy came out later the same year as Bii. It was difficult for Toyworld's offering to compete with the official product, but Bii did have several things going for him. First was the cartoony look of the vehicle mode. Some people preferred that, but the lean towards a slavish cartoon aesthetic wasn't as strong back then as it is now. Second, he was the correct color of yellow. I mean, come on, Takara! Can you really call it a masterpiece if you get the color so wrong? Eventually, even Takara would embrace the cartoon aesthetic more fully and release a version 2 Masterpiece Bumblebee car mode with both cartoon proportions and the right hue of yellow. Which of these Biis do you think has a cleaner looking car mode? We all have our opinions on real world vehicle modes versus G1 toy aesthetics versus cartoon aesthetics. However, we can all agree that it's cool when a Transformer's accessories can be stored in vehicle mode. Bii's only accessory is his weapon. If we look at the bottom of the car, we can see his gun directly incorporated into the alt mode. It's right there, disguised as his exhaust pipe. More on that gun later. The true test of any Masterpiece scaled car bot is whether or not it fits in Optimus Prime's trailer. I can happily confirm that Toyworld Bii passes the trailer test. Roll out, Optimus Prime. I bought this toy used, so it didn't come with a box, and it didn't come with instructions. But the instructions are garbage anyway, so that's no major loss. I learned how to transform him by watching videos. What I discovered is that there are many potential ways to go about his transformation. Several of the steps can be done in different orders. So what I'm going to show you is what works best for me and for my medium of stop motion. Pull out his arms from underneath, rotate them at the wheels, untab and remove the tailpipe, which will become his gun later on, crack open the shell, and separate the hood, roof, and door panels from the car body. Being careful with the door windows, separate the front sections and pull out and extend each of the legs. To form the feet, fold in the window and door panels, and flip in the wheels. Let me stand them up. The next steps can be quite tricky, as the car mode basically explodes apart. He won't be standing up pretty like this for you if you try it. He'll be a hot mess of panels and hinges in your hand. Untab the side and rear panels and flip back the rear and the roof. Flip up the head. Now, here's the trickiest part of the transformation. The goal is to rotate the rear roof section to the back using his hinge and ball peg without popping it off. There are several different strategies for doing it. Here's what I found that works and doesn't involve much, if any, plastic flexing, if done right. Angle the wheel well panels back in towards the chest with the tires tipped 90 degrees to them. You might have to adjust the head slightly as well. Now, attempt to rotate and flip down the roof. You may have to flex the roof panel a little or adjust some other nearby parts. Straighten out the shoulders and collapse the torso sides together. They tab together at the back bumper. Rotate the front windshield. Fold in the hood panel. Hinge in those side mirrors. Fold up the chest and tab in the gray panel below the neck. We're almost there. Notice that the arms are hanging a bit low. Rotate the gray shoulder part and clip it at the top of the chest, over the wheel well. The gray part flexes a little bit, but it's meant to. And you're done. Let's reverse that and watch it again. I'm not gonna lie, there are aspects to Bee's transformation that are challenging. Some might say rage-inducing. You will likely pop off the back roof panel at some point when transforming this figure, and it's frustrating and difficult to put back on. The door window panels are not pinned, they are held on by friction nubs, and can often pop off during transformation to car mode. When these sorts of things happen, and they will happen, the thing to remember is to not throw the toy against the wall in anger. You will get better at the transformation with practice. You will find your own way through it and become a Zen master. He may feel like a floppy mess while you transform him, but in the end, he comes together fairly solid. For those of you who have transformed this guy and Masterpiece Bumblebee version 2, which transformation do you prefer? Which do you find more challenging? Aspects of the transformation that I quite enjoy are how the shoulders compress to make the torso, and how the chest holds up. On to articulation. His head rotates on a ball joint. He can't really look down, but he can look up this far. His shoulders rotate 360, and they can go out to a T-pose. There is a full bicep rotation, and he has very, very stiff ratcheted elbows. Now is a good time to show off his exhaust, which transforms into his weapon. The tailpipe acts as a 5mm peg handle for the gun. The hinge doesn't lock into place, so the gun can easily flop over if you bump it. They really could have built a simple tab locking mechanism into the gun to solve this issue. The end result feels unfinished. Here, I'm using the gun to act as a lever to help me rotate the wrist. The wrist is on a mushroom peg, and it's extremely stiff. The gun is very reminiscent of the generic pistol we saw in the G1 cartoon. It's very similar to what we've seen with other bots. And it seems quite effective. Bii can even store it in his chest. If you really want him to, just throw it in there. There's full waist rotation. His legs can go sideways, all the way on ball joints. His leg can go all the way back. It can go most of the way forwards, maybe about 80 degrees. The ankle has really good pivot. The knee can bend about 90 degrees backwards on a tight ratchet. It can also bend 90 degrees forwards, but I forgot to show that. He doesn't have a thigh swivel. However, he has a rotation under the knee, which I also forgot to shoot. The ankles are attached using ball joints, and they are the weakest and loosest joints on the figure. It's quite common for him to fall backwards from a straight vanilla stance. Like I said, this is a 9-year-old used toy, but I'm not sure how much of that looseness could be related to age. It seems like a design issue. It was a poor choice to use a simple ball joint for the ankle. I was able to tighten this joint on one foot by adjusting some screws, but I didn't have much success with the other foot. That being said, I can still get very good dynamic poses from the figure, especially with running or lunging poses, without any risk of him falling over, which I forgot to shoot. Just take my word for it. Really. To get the straight up and down poses in this video, I'm using a lot of hidden sticky tack for support inside the foot cavity. Like most Transformers with big feet, he can pull off a really good walk cycle. Now let's compare him to some other bots. Here he is next to the Micro Action Figure, New Age Flipper, G1 Bumblebee, Netflix Bumblebee, and the most important comparison, MP21 Masterpiece Bumblebee. Like I said, these two bots came out in the same year and were in direct competition with each other. The bot with the big yellow diaper won that contest, hands down. MP21 has better materials, paint, joints, face sculpt, transformation, and so much more. What does Toyworld Bii have to offer? What does he bring to the table? He's the right color yellow. 100% pass, buy this toy. He's beefier and blockier. He has wrist rotation, light piping, and a sweet, sweet soul patch. So yeah, it's true, MP21 is objectively the better bot. But Toyworld Bii has charms all his own. The cartoon version of Bumblebee felt very young. Toyworld Bii seems like a slightly more grown-up version of Bumblebee. Maybe his design is based on some of his Dreamwave or IDW comic appearances. I don't know that for sure because I haven't read any of those comics. I should point out that Bii comes in 2 additional flavors. There's a gold one and a blue one. I think they both look great, especially the blue one. Though I'm not sure if the blue one comes with a silver face or a yellow face. I've seen conflicting photos. I wasn't planning on doing a review of this toy. While working on my last review, the G1 Bumblebee reissue, I guess I developed interest in some of his toy designs. I guess I was stung by the little yellow love bug. That led me to Toyworld Bii. He's much harder to find nowadays. It's not impossible, but it requires some hunting. And I do enjoy a good toy hunt. The car mode rolls great and it feels like an awesome toy. It's so clean and oh so cute. His coloring mainly comes from the inherent color of the plastics used. That's not a bad thing. Blue paint is used for the windows and silver paint for the face and to highlight some details. In terms of construction, he's not a premium figure, as he depends quite a bit on obvious mushroom pegs and basic ball joints. But he's not a budget toy. He's somewhere in between. He's at the scale of a Masterpiece style figure, but he doesn't have the same level of polish. For instance, his hands don't open up, express, or fold away. They're just molded fists with 5mm holes. They're set into the forearms with mushroom pegs. He's closer to the level of a really advanced mainline toy without any of the hollowness. Again, that's not a bad thing. In a word, he's unpretentious. He's a decent toy made with quality materials, but he has a frustrating transformation and loose ankle joints. Those are things you should know about him before you decide if you want to get him. I would still recommend MP21 over this guy for anyone looking for a Masterpiece Bumblebee. I would probably still recommend MP21 over MP45 version 2 Bumblebee based on what I've seen and heard online. But what do I know? I don't have any in-hand experience with MP45. I don't mind a complicated transformation, but above all, a toy should be fun to transform. It should be a rewarding experience. Toyworld Bii's transformation isn't complicated, but it is clumsy. It gets in the way of itself. I didn't really need another Bii in my life, Masterpiece or otherwise. If I had my time back, I think I would still get this mold, but maybe the blue one instead. That way he could be a different character on my shelf. So, did getting this toy cure my yellow fever? Well, while making this video I ended up ordering another third-party Bumblebee, albeit a much smaller one. Maybe I should see a doctor. Thanks for watching, Cardboard Box. See you next time. Like my vids? Buy me a coffee. It's easy. Visit coffee.com/cardboardbots. Cardboard